Thank you for stopping by. I want to preface this video by saying that it is in no way a knitting tutorial, but more of a audio visual stimulation package kind of a thing so that you have something to listen to while you knit. If you're like me, sometimes you find that when you're watching YouTube videos for maybe several hours, you've actually watched more videos than you have knit if you wanted something in the background. And I found that a lot of YouTube videos that I like to watch are very engaging visually, so then I end up losing track of what I'm knitting. And then it's almost time to go to bed and I haven't gotten as far along as I would have liked had I just been focusing on my knitting instead of the videos. So this is hopefully a solution to that if you also identify as a person like me who find yourself easily distracted by the videos and the visual part of those videos instead of just having something in the background. So this is the point, is to have something in the background while you knit. But I do want to start out by showing you what I'm working on and share any information that I can. So I want to say that in the previous video I had uploaded that I talked about the blanket I was using, or I was knitting, and I mentioned the Dale Garn yarn. It is actually officially discontinued, but I linked instead to a yarn sub site that gives you alternatives to that yarn. So if you really were interested in finding out more about the Dale Garn yarn, Hubro is the line it was. They have several options that you can use as an alternative if you were seeking that out. So sorry about that. I was at the yarn.com site and I was like thinking, well, I think it was discontinued or it was a closeout sale, and I didn't remember if it was just that color yarn I was using or if it was the entire line of that brand. And it was the entire line of that brand. And then so this one will have a link to the pattern or not the link to the pattern I'm using, but the book I'm using. So for today's episode, I am going to show you a little bit of a project I'm working on, part of those many projects that I had lined up to knit for the holidays. And this one is a hat. You can see that it's actually a 1x1 rib, and it has a provisional cast on, which I hadn't done before. So that was a first for me. It is using the Cascade Yarns Cascade 220 Sport, and it is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And this particular hank I had wound up into a cake, and it is 164 yards or 150 meters, and it's 50 grams or 1.75 ounces. And it's 22 to 24 stitches for a 4-inch square using US size 5 to 6 needles. And for something about this, it is a superwash, by the way. Oh no, is it? Yes, I think. I had to find out about that. I can't remember if this was a superwash or not, but it feels really nice. And so the Dale Garn Hubro yarn that I used in the blanket was like an itchy wool. So is it the Peruvian? Is it the fact that this is Cascade and that one is a different brand? Let me know in the comments if you've noticed quality in wool based on brand or by type of wool, and if the merino wool is just a naturally softer wool, or if it's because the two that I used for the doggy sweaters in the first video are superwash, if that makes a difference. And then why would you use itchy wool? What projects would you use itchy wool for? I probably mentioned in one of the other videos that I used a loppy or loopy yarn, L-O-P-I yarn for a scarf that I knit in the same pattern that I'm using for the blanket and the previous episode, and it's really, really itchy. Like against the skin, it's kind of pokey, and I obviously knit the scarf thinking it would soften up a bit, and it did just a tad with the wool wash, but in general, what purpose of itchy wool does it serve if it doesn't feel comfortable on the skin? You probably wouldn't want to sleep with it if it's against your body. And I could see maybe a sweater, but you'd still have to wear a pretty thick undershirt, I think, so that it doesn't poke through. And I also want to mention that before I even get into the knitting part, you may notice that I'm in a different room, and that is because the lighting, the way the room that I was in the previous episodes is situated is that the window is behind me. As you can see, there was a curtain or a little pull shade down, and it was midday, kind of like it is right now. So because the window is behind me, you have like that really darkened room effect where you can't really see me that well. And so to compensate that, I turned on the lights, but then it made everything really yellow, and it wasn't the best situation. And because I'm just starting out, I don't have the budget yet to get really nice lighting or even a better camera. I'm actually using my cell phone. If you can't tell by the quality, it's through my cell phone, and anything like that at the moment. So hopefully as I get more into this, I can squirrel away funds that aren't dedicated just to buying yarn, but are to get better equipment. So hopefully I can keep shooting in that other room with better lighting. But right now, the bedroom is fine. I'm also projecting my voice a little bit because one, where I live, there is a yard care service that is taking care of the whole like complex situation, and they usually do it earlier in the morning, but for some reason they started around 10 today, and it's almost 3 o'clock and they're still going. So it's weird. So I'm gonna compensate because we have really thin walls. So they're right up against the complex. So if you hear any kind of weed whackers noise, they're finishing up at this point if they're doing that part. But because it's really loud and because this room's bigger and there isn't as much stuff inside, like the sound is bouncing everywhere. So long story short, I'm going to be talking a little bit louder than I did yesterday just so that you can hear me until I get a mic and probably a tripod. This is very jerry-rigged right now as far as what is holding this up at the angle it's at, so that I can see you and you can see me and what I'm working on. So let's get into the pattern. So I was lucky enough to get a stack of pattern books and books on knitting in general from one of my coworkers, and this is one of the books that came in that set of items that she gave me, and it's the Hats On book. Sorry for the glare, but it is 31 Warm and Winsome Caps for Knitters by Charlene Church, and it was published in 1999. So I'm going to provide in the description the ISBN to this, as well as if I can find this for sale online somewhere, I'll link the product as well, so that if you are interested in picking up this book, you have some options to either just search by the ISBN and find it at a retailer you like, or to go directly to that site. If you have a friend who has it that you can borrow it from, or if your library has it, you could check it out, or if you find it at a yard sale, what have you, that you'll have the information you need to locate it. And I want to say that it has several patterns inside. There are also techniques that it tells you how to do different cast-ons and how to make pom-poms and things like that. But just to kind of give you a glance, it's all in black and white, and I found that a little bit, not so much the black and white part challenging, but that the photographs and the explanation on how to do certain things a little bit challenging, which is why I want to give thanks to Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits, her website, her YouTube channel. She actually explains a couple of these cast-on techniques that I struggled with just by looking in the book and figuring it out. One of the benefits of YouTube, as you know, is that it's a really great resource to find how-to tutorials, which is not what this site, this channel is, but if you are looking at how to get started knitting, that's what I use to learn how to knit. And even though I don't have an in-person experience with a knitter showing me how to do these techniques, I found her very helpful. And there are dozens of other really great channels that show you how to do different techniques, but the way she breaks it down and everything like that, like, I found it so helpful just to get started with some of this stuff that I found a little bit more challenging. So I have like 3 little tags in here, you can probably see them against the wall a little better, of some patterns that I looked through that I identified as something that I felt I was comfortable trying to knit, was a style I liked. As you can see on the cover, there are some like Fair Isle colorwork patterns here that I have not even thought about doing yet, but a nice plain stockinette stitch, a 1x1 rib, I feel like I can handle that, and these are styles that I haven't knit in the round yet, so this is also my first knitting in the round experience. So let's get on to what I am knitting, and let me find where I've put the placeholder. Okay, so this is the classic watch cap, and there are several sizes available, and of course the yarn required is sport weight, 184 yards per 1 3/4 ounces. And so in parentheses, depending on what size you need, it tells you how many skeins or skeins of that you need. So I got 2 hanks worth of that sport weight cascade yarn to knit this, and I'm already on the second cake that I wound up from the hanks I purchased. And I got those at yarn.com, and I will link in the description as well the actual product part of yarn.com. So if you do want to get this cascade yarn, if you don't have a shop nearby or preferred vendor, that you know they're available at yarn.com. And so yes, the tubular cast on is the provisional cast on needed for this. And it's just to make, I can't really show you at this point because the provisional part is still attached, but the tubular cast on kind of helps the stitches, if you don't know, kind of curve around so there's not like a straight edge where they start, and it makes for a very nice looking piece. I don't have to do that for knitting. I could do a regular slingshot cast on, or long tail cast on, but I wanted to follow the pattern, even though I was very scared at first because I couldn't figure it out from the description. And then I'll link to Stacey Perry's video. She has a couple different ones, like a 1x1 rib cast on and 2x2 and knit flat, and then in the round, but I kind of just modified what she was talking about to make sense to me for what this was. So I'm hoping it's going to come out all right. And for the size I am knitting, I need it to be 12 inches long, and it's not quite there. It's around 10-ish, so I have quite a ways to go. And you can see I'm using circular needles at this point. Once I start doing the crown, I'll need to switch to DPNs when I start having issues decreasing with the space that's allowed. And this is a 16-inch circular needle set. I am using the Knitter's Pride Zing brand, and I also have these cute little stoppers. They're foam and they're from Cocoa Knits, but I got them on the yarn.com website. And then I have a place marker at the beginning of my round, and I don't have one at the end, but I'm at the point where as long as this doesn't fall out, I should be okay. So let me take those out so we can start knitting. So I mentioned the different kinds of yarn that I've used. What is one of your favorite yarns? Oh, before, you can answer that one, but I want to show you this really cute, I have this project bag, and I got it on Etsy, and I'll link the shop I got it from, but it is, oh, actually it has the tag here, By the Bay Yarn Company, but I will link directly to their market. And I really like this bag because it looks a lot like the field bag that Fringe Supply has, but theirs is like a lot of money, at least for my price range, what I feel comfortable paying for a project bag. It was way beyond what I wanted to pay, but they were inspired by that project bag and decided to make a more affordable solution. It has some pockets, like two pockets in the inside, and it has this nice little handle and a drawstring, and it's like a canvas bag, so it started out really stiff, but it's getting soft, which is nice, so it kind of feels a little comfy when you hold it. And I just use this one to take to and from work, and I find that it's very nice. Also, it's one of my favorite color schemes, which is like a teal, anything like teal or blue. Blue's my favorite color, but I've really gravitated toward teals and turquoise and aqua type colors. So if you have a favorite color, I know it sounds silly, but let me know. And if you actually want to see all of the stuff that I have that is in that same kind of color scheme, like you'll see how serious I am about it, let me know as well, and I might be able to do another video where I'm just showing you guys all the different stuff in my home that is that teal kind of color scheme. And I just don't know why. And even when I'm looking at yarn, like, of course this one's red because that person I'm knitting for, they really like burgundy, but I didn't find a burgundy color that was sport weight, that was wool, that was, and the price point I wanted to pay. So I decided to go with this one, red, close enough for them. They'll be very happy to get it. But if I'm buying something for myself, yarn-wise, I really like those jewel tones, but particularly like teal, any kind of blue. So what is your favorite color? Do you gravitate toward any particular color when you knit, or do you just like all color yarns? What kind of yarn do you like to knit with? Do you have a preference in that aspect? Please let me know, and I'd be interested to find out what you guys all think about. But definitely wool, yarn type, fiber type, or even fiber weight. Do you just go by pattern, or do you purposely seek out patterns that require a certain kind of yarn? Just let me know. What is your process? Do you buy yarn first and then find a pattern, or do you find a pattern and then hunt down the perfect yarn for it? I'm kind of either or. I find a pattern that's really pretty and I'll flag it, and then I hope and pray that I'll find some yarn later that'll work with it, or just keep it in the back of my head, like, oh, that'll be a nice project to do one day. But right now, since I'm knitting strictly for other people, I haven't really had a lot of time to think about what my personal tastes are, or just what are gifts that I know I need to start planning for the next round, since these are all for this season. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I want to say that I'm hoping that I can probably continue to knit in here with the door closed. Surprisingly, my cats haven't started scratching, but it is midday, so they're kind of sleepy right now. They were yelling a little bit earlier, but now they've calmed down a bit. But usually if this door is closed, they love to nap on the bed. And if I'm not in here, I usually don't let them in. As much as I love my kitties, I don't love when they have just used the litter box and want to lay on the bed, which, you know, you don't really think about it too much, I guess, if you're just living your life, but litter paws, I call them the litter paws. I don't like the litter paws on the bed. So I let them wait it out a little bit before I let them in the bedroom. And if I happen to hear them digging the china downstairs where their litter boxes are, I will close the door for a little bit and let them like walk on the rugs and stuff before I let them back in here, just so they kind of like wipe their feet off, you know. So that's kind of what's going on with why the door is closed. There's nobody else here right now besides myself, but that's how it's going. And I will probably have this same angle. I don't really like knitting like a kangaroo, like holding my hands up here, but keeping them comfortable on my lap is also not in view. Hopefully one day when I get the tripod, I'll be able to angle the camera so you can see what I'm working on as well as myself. If you want to look at my face for any reason, it'll be available to you still. But at the moment, this is what we're doing. But let me know if, you know, you have any kind of suggestions. I can't say I can grant everything, but I'm definitely thinking of better ways to produce these videos. And the last two were just quite a learning experience as far as quality of the lighting. It just made it look really old. I'm like, this is 2019. I don't want this to look like a 2005 video, you know? So we'll see how it goes. And then hopefully a tripod and a mic so I don't have to project my voice as much. If I'm talking too long, too loudly, I get worn out. And I find that happens a lot in my job because I am a manager. So I'm training people for a good portion of the day during certain parts of the year. And I'm just talking, and I'm talking loud because the area I'm in is loud and I want them to hear me. And I come home and I feel like I've been screaming at a concert all day. And I'm like, why is my voice so hoarse? And I realize it's the environment I'm in and it's the length of time I'm talking, especially when I'm at a part in my job cycle where I'm not doing as much training and I'm sitting quietly or I'm engaging just minimally with people during the day, but then when I rev it up again, you know, that's when my voice starts to really feel it. But this knitting, I want to say, is one of the kind of zombie mode knits. Very meditative. Of course, I'm talking over this meditation that I'm experiencing, but if you're just listening to me in the background, you're probably chugging through your own knitting. But this, for some reason, compared to the sweater in my first video, is more relaxing, and I'm trying to make sense of it in my head, but knitting flat and then flipping and knitting flat and then flipping, some reason that isn't as methodic as just knitting in a continuous circle. And that piece is a little larger. I mean, it's not if you think of how wide it is. If I were to keep this straight and let it out, this would be longer. But this short little circle, just knit, knit, knit in a circle, knit, purl, as long as I remember to alternate my knits and my purls, it's pretty, kind of puts me in a trance, I guess you could say. Very methodic, very relaxing, just knit in a circle, and keep going for a long length of time. Like I mentioned with the sweater video, I don't take that with me because those chunks jump. They're not huge jumps, but like I mentioned before, I don't have a measuring tape, so because I'm using a straight ruler, this can actually come with me to work. I take this one on the train, I knit when I'm waiting for my doctor's appointment. Like, this is my go-to travel project right now because it's just, I have a long way to go. The sport weight is thin. I have 12 inches I need to cover before I can even start the crown, and I have probably 2 more inches to go before I'm even there at this point. So I could just keep knitting along and not have to think about measuring it for quite a while. So this is a very good one for that. So knitting hats. I have a sock project I'm going to show you later on in another video, and that one's a little bit different. And I'll talk about that then, but right now, just this knitting, purling, in a circle, nothing's changing, even though for the other project I felt like it kind of dragged on. Just this one doesn't change for so long, but there's just a little bit of variation in it. Keeps me satisfied. So what kind of project is your favorite to knit? Do you like knitting hats? Like in the round like this, or do you use DPNs mostly, or do you use circulars like this, or do you like doing color work hats, or do you like solids? I haven't tried anything Fair yet, and the only thing color work I've done are the color block blanket, as well as the double knit scarves I had talked about previously, but no Fair Isle hats yet. There's this one in here in this Hats On book that's like a gesture looking hat with like little points and pom-poms and stuff. And it looks fun to knit. I personally wouldn't wear it. I have a lot of hair that kind of helps keep me insulated for the most part. Otherwise, I just tie a scarf down to keep it from blowing everywhere in the wind. But it would be a fun hat just to knit, just to have, either give as a gift later, as like a standby gift. Maybe once I'm better at knitting quickly, then I will have gifts just on reserve, like, oh, somebody's graduating college, here's a hat, or oh, here's a pair of mittens for your bat mitzvah, you know, whatever have you, just stuff that I know is nice that people would appreciate. I don't know, do you do that? Anybody out there listening to me today have just an arsenal of projects you've knit and you're just waiting for the right occasion to gift them to somebody? Do you knit mostly for people or yourself? Do you do charity knitting? That's really admirable if you do. I'm so slow. I feel like, I don't know. I know people who knit a lot quicker than I do. One of the women I work with, she does dishcloths a lot, and she could do like 40 in a weekend. And I don't know how, but she does them. She just loves little quick knits like that. And that's one thing I haven't done. There's any home goods yet. I found this really cute. I think I added it to my library on Ravelry, but it was like these really cute felted coasters from Cascade Yarn. Or not, they weren't from Cascade Yarn, but somebody used that brand to knit, and then I found out about them because I follow Cascade Yarns on Facebook, and they had shared like the repost or something like that from, I think, Instagram maybe, and I don't have Instagram, but I saw it on the Facebook, and I was like, wow, those are cute. They had these little charm things sewn onto the corners. I'll link it even though I haven't knit it yet, but if you could please take a moment to look at that pattern and look at those little charms. Tell me what those are called, because I swear I looked at every single page of beads on Joanne.com and on Michaels.com, and I could not for the life of me find out what that is. And they're so cute. I mean, they don't have to be the little heart ones, but I would really like to do that as a project. But I want it to look like just as cute with those little charms on the coasters, and I know somebody I could give them to who would like them a lot. And before I do that, I really want to make sure I have all the materials ready. So let me know if you found anything like that, or have used them before and can provide me with the proper search term so I can also locate them and buy them for the project when I decide I have a moment to switch gears. And speaking of switching gears, before we wrap up this video, I wanted to mention that I plan on revisiting the projects that I'm knitting now with you later on to show you how far I've come. And one of the things I'm struggling with deciding at this point in time is if I should do like a time-lapse video where I'm wrapping them up, or just check in with more progress and like another knit with me session so you can see how far I've come after some time off camera just knitting along, so that I'm at a better point where you can see that there's like a significant amount of progress. Let me know. I can't say for sure if that's all going to happen before I upload the next round, but at least while I'm thinking of it, as far as those finished pieces, let me know. And if you also would like to have me show you just what I've already knit that's completed that hasn't been blocked yet, I can do a separate video of just that, besides the suggested separate video of all of the stuff in my house that is of the same color. Might be fun, just to kind of take a break from the knitting where I'm focusing more on talking to you without you actually having to really focus so much on what I'm actually producing. Let me know. Also, I feel like I might be saying actually too much, but it's just part of my vocabulary. It's one of those idiosyncrasies I have where I say a lot of the same words over and over. You may have experienced that yourself at some point. But if I do, I'm sorry. It's just a stream of consciousness and it's all just coming out of me at once. But I'll try to think more about what I actually, there we go again, what's coming out of my mouth. I am so sorry. But here we are, pretty much to the end of the video, and I don't want to keep these too long, but long enough so that you have a moment to get through some of your project without having to look up a lot, especially since I tried to go through most of anything visual at the beginning of the video, except when I check in about color work or something like that, where I might be asking for your opinion on something. But I want to say I do appreciate you taking the time to stop by my channel, and if I haven't sent you away because this isn't a tutorial, thank you so much for sticking around for the duration of the video. And if you have any questions or comments that you would like me to respond to, please leave them in the section below, and I will do my very best to either respond to them directly in video at the next time I upload several, or I will comment directly to you in the comments. So have a good day and see you in the next one.